So apparently one of the cartel member was interviewed by CNN. Got a lot of questions on that, and they're all actually being mocked online. Yeah, how my first question is how did they or how was they able to interview a member? You know, do they have a connection? CNN have any lead connections or anything? I mean, is this even legit? And what or which cartel member is this person? That's my question.
Is being mocked, and they're being roasted, really, for their interview with the Sinaloa cartel member. I think he's the head guy in the cartel. And
so
they're
he's the head
asking
guy.
him, how do you feel? They're very sympathetic when they ask them the question, how do you feel about being called a terrorist by Donald Trump? Listen to this.
According to the Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación, ¿verdad? Está fea la situación, pero pues todos tenemos que
We
comer.
have to eat.
What's your message to Donald Trump if he's watching this?
Okay, so as if Donald Trump is the only one calling them terrorists. So they're not. To me, that according to CNN, they're not terrorists, or they're not a threat. That's what it means. And asking their feelings about how they feel about being labeled a terrorist by Donald Trump.
Mi respeto, él tiene que según él buscar lo mejor para
Looking out for
los suyos.
yeah.
Pero el detalle que ya están los
Problem
consumidores.
is,
Si no hubiera consumidores, pues uno le parara.
Yeah, the large consumers of this drugs are located in the United States. That's true to that. I'm pretty sure, and all this border crossing though, that would limit the smuggling of drugs across the border, and he said they gotta eat. Like is there really, there's no other jobs out there but to sell drugs and ruin people's lives. Yeah.
Funny. This is the same network, along with the other mainstream media, that make fun of us for going across the country doing diner segments.
Yeah.
You saw one of the late nights. We're making fun of our diners the other day of talking with the American people. But they treat the cartel as normal people. I don't care what he thinks about the president. What about all the girls that you raped during the drug trade? What about all the people that you have murdered? What about all the innocent Americans that have died as a result of your cartel, the human trafficking that goes on as well?
Yeah.
I would have expected that to be the focus of the interview, not what he thinks of the president of the United States. I don't care what he thinks about the
and the funny thing is they she was trying to cultivate the anger, or asking about the feeling. What do you feel? How do you feel about that Trump, labeling you this and labeling you that? I don't know, maybe she's expecting for him to like retaliate, things like, oh, we're going to, drop whatever. We're going to fight Trump. And I mean, according to him, he's looking out for his people. And that is exactly why 70% of people in America voted for Trump, because he is looking out for Americans. Right?
President of the United States.
He says, yeah, he's looking out for his people, by the way.
We got to eat.
That statement.
We got to eat.
Right. That's what the mob says. Oh, we got to eat, right? I mean, they're locking down with illegal activity. He does say the reason why we sell our drugs here is because we've got customers. No doubt about it. There are drug users here.
So he's blaming Americans.
Yes, yeah.
And not himself, not taking responsibility. If they weren't making drugs and selling drugs, Americans wouldn't have drugs to buy and wouldn't be dying. So you know, these individuals have blood on their hands. It's easy for them to say, we've got to eat. Well, then just get a regular job. That's what we all do. And you can't do something illegal in order to eat. That's not how America works. And you have to realize, like, I'd rather be poor than have blood on my hands and be accused of killing and responsible for killing millions of Americans.
Okay, I mean, it's because of the, the cartel. If you were born in the cartel, I mean, I don't know how, 1960s, maybe 50s, when all the, the cartels and a lot of them was just formed recently, broke out and formed their own. And CIA, I'm pretty sure they have all the records of that. What I'm saying is because they were born into that, and they think that's the way of life. You know what I mean? So just like the jihadist, and like the extremist religion, like Muslims, they think they were born into the Hamas, to the Taliban, and all of that, and they think that's their way of life. So until they realize that that's not the way it goes, is going to continue on. And with President Trump cutting off the lifeline of that across, closing the borders and keep them in check, I mean, over time it will probably fizzle out. Even if, they will probably just break apart and sell their drugs somewhere else. Maybe South America. I'm pretty sure they do that now. But what I'm saying is, yeah.
Americans.
So Caroline Levitt saw the interview. This is what she said.
Well, it was fascinating to me, Sean. I was actually scrolling on Instagram when I came across this interview, and it stopped me in my tracks, not just because they sat down with a member of a Mexican cartel that is now designated as a foreign terrorist organization by the United States government, but because of the nature of the questions of this notorious foreign terrorist. It was a softball interview giving a platform to a notorious drug cartel that has killed American citizens. I thought it was quite despicable. But again, this is just another reason why the trust in the legacy media is at an all-time low amongst the American public. Exactly.
They keep, they are already low. They're low ratings and CNN and all of that. And they just keep, they just keep at it. And I think it's because, they have certain viewers really that maybe 10%. Or 15%, and their viewers are like anti-Trump and Democrats and all of that. So I think they cater to them, to their own viewers, and they don't really care, And that's my opinion. You know what I mean? I mean, there are people out there that think that the Donald Trump should be, assassinated and all that, and I mean, there was a high school teacher who actually made a post. And I'm pretty sure she's an avid CNN viewer or MSNBC viewer. And she thinks that really that just to solve this problem, that she thinks there's a problem, is to end President Trump's life. That's her post. And she was doubling down on that. That's their viewers. CNN and all of them.
It's just such a good point. I don't care if it's the Democrats or it's the media. On every single issue that matters to the American people, they find a way to be on the wrong side of the issue.
Exactly, all the time.
This was the first opportunity. It's not like we get many interviews with cartel members to actually get in their mind. Why are you doing it? Why are you killing our people? Why are you raping these young girls across the border?
How do you sleep at night?
How do you sleep at night? When he said, I got to eat, what was the response to that? I mean, it's really sad when the media provides cartel for the number one, gang that is killing our people. Young people are dying because of the drugs that they're putting across this border. True. It's the number one way they can die.
Just so you know, they're heavily surveilled right now. The Trump administration looks at the cartels as the major problem. That stuff about Scheinbaum saying what the president said over the weekend, Scheinbaum's scared to death of the cartels that kind of run in the country. That's their problem. But cartels are our problem. Yeah. And I don't think there's going to be too much longer before
Yeah, because the Mexico is not going to deal with them. They know that. They tried. I mean, Mexican government, they're not going to. No, this is. I mean, they're scared that a lot of people are going to die. There's going to be. They're scared of casualties. This is what they, a lot of this, countries dealing with their own drugs are afraid of. But then again, if you are the Bukele, like in El Salvador's president, if you really want to fix it, your country, you're not gonna care. Look at I mean, a lot of things happen. Like in the Philippines, that happens. El Salvador, I mean, Mexico, and they need to do that. They need to fix it. If they, yeah, we gotta, yeah.
If we catch them directly doing anything at the border, they're going to get hit directly from our military for the first time.
It's emblematic of what we're seeing, though, in the Democratic Party, because we're seeing them trying to be sympathetic to now gang members. They were sympathetic to other gang members that were removed from our country and put in prisons in El Salvador. They care. It seems they care more about the criminal than they do the victim. I mean,
it's because anything what Donald Trump does, and then the government, Trump administration, anything that they do, they Democrats are going to find a way to be against it. They're always finding something to be against it, and that's I think that's it's in their blood. I mean, there's very few moderate Democrats that are agreeing with Trump.
Van Hollen's visiting this gang guy down in El Salvador, and meanwhile, someone in his own community, Rachel Morin, was killed, and he never visited her mom. So they're trying to figure out what their message needs to be, and you've got these younger Dems that are pushing to ouster some of the older party leaders, including AOC. And what happened in the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee is you had Virginia's congressman. He's 74 years old, Jerry Connolly, and he actually defeated AOC for that position, for the head dog on that committee. Then he was diagnosed with cancer in November, and he is saying he's going to have to step down from that role. So now they're trying to figure out who's going to be the leader in that role. His temporary replacement is a 70-year-old Congressman Stephen Lynch, who's a Democrat from Massachusetts.
I'm Steve Doocy.
Yeah,
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
They'll figure some out. And again, like AOC is going in. I think this is up to the poll. But then again, she's... And moderate Democrats are probably going to reject her. It's like that's like how they rejected Bernie Sanders, for all these years. So we'll see, though. We'll see. The way I see it now is a lot of Democrats, especially moderate Democrats, would switch party. It's because of RFK. Tulsi Gabbard and all that. And just keep in mind that Donald Trump is actually a Democrat from the beginning. He wasn't really a Republican. I think what I'm saying is he was a moderate. He donated large amount of money into the Democrat candidates back in the day. I think that he donated to the Clintons. I think. I mean, there was pictures and photos of them their fundraising and all that. So then again, it is what it is. So. All right, have a good day. Check me out. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and please like the video and share it. Until next time.